Then how about eggs?
Oh, that's an interesting topic. Okay, so eggs, right? What's your question actually? Yeah. So
Because I think now I cut away my rice and all that, right? So I replace with eggs, proteins and all that, right? So is it okay to take, how many eggs per day can we take actually?
Okay, this whole egg thing started another backstory to it.
Okay.
So back in the 70s, 80s, there was this, again, scientific data, very limited data back then. They found that eggs, because of their very high cholesterol content, they thought that when you take eggs, you load your system with cholesterol. So that's because one large egg, those eggs in America are quite large.
Yes.
Yeah. So those eggs, one egg can give you almost 2/3 of your daily cholesterol, requirement.
Okay.
So if your requirement is like 300 milligrams, it gives you 230 milligrams.
Okay.
So just one egg, So back then, that was what caused the whole fear of eggs. You see, particularly the yolk, the yellow, that contained almost like 80% of their cholesterol, or pretty much all of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So then what happens? People get terrified that, oh my, if I eat eggs, I'm going to get high cholesterol. But that was a very silly kind of understanding of the problem.
Really?
And yeah, it was,
Okay.
and it still is. So what happened was these media outlets and some science-based people propagated this idea that eggs are dangerous, especially the yolk.
Yes.
So I've got patients telling me that the last 50 years they've not been eating the yolk. I'm like,
Really?
what are you doing? So
Okay.
so I'm like, I tell them, no, there's really nothing wrong with the yolk. Then they don't trust me. They trust 50 years of their experience. So it becomes very hard to change their thinking and behavior. But in reality, the thing that causes you to have high cholesterol is not cholesterol. How cool is that? So what really causes you to have high cholesterol is actually saturated fat. So things like lots of red meat, like meat that's rich in fat, like mutton, for example, or lamb, and things like taking lots and lots of unhealthy things like margarine. Saturated fat is very high.
Okay.
And maybe if you drink more than the minimum requirement of milk, maybe if you drink 4 glasses of milk, some people love milk,
I love milk and cheese.
Correct, milk and cheese. So it's good in limited quantities.
It's
definitely better than rice for sure. But at the same time, it's not really healthy if you have too much of these things, because they get converted to cholesterol by your liver. But cholesterol itself, very little portion of it gets retained as cholesterol.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's really no major harm from eating eggs unless you eat many of them. Okay, so the so-called golden number does not exist because it depends on your body size. Like me, I'm a small guy, So for me, if I eat 2 eggs a day, that's probably the limit. But maybe if you're a huge guy, maybe like Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, he can probably eat like 8 eggs a day.
Wow.
So for him, the cholesterol limit or threshold will be different. Yeah. So the idea is basically you try and have at least 1 or 2 eggs, like maybe 2 to 3 times a week. That will be good for you. Because if you completely omit eggs, you're losing out on a lot of healthy nutrition, both the yellow and the white portion. So you actually have quite interesting nutrients in eggs that have antioxidant power, and they also provide a large portion of protein. So I think having more eggs, probably not healthy on a daily basis, but in a week, if you have like between maybe 4 to 6 eggs on average, should be okay.
Okay, it's good to know, because I think a lot of people are telling me like, no, don't eat so much egg yolk, it's bad.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Then they make a lot of egg whites. So they make the egg out of egg whites, right? Then they cook 8 eggs at
then they're getting the protein, but they're losing out on a lot of other nutrition.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the yolk is actually rich in a lot of other nutrients. So it's good to have eggs in general. It's just that don't exceed a certain number.